Yeah. Hi, I'm Amber, also known as Ambie Drew. Thank you for joining my zine workshop today. Um, yeah, basically, the idea is we're going to make a small A6 size, A6 size zine. It'll be 8 pages. Yeah. Also, I have to say, disclaimer at the start, um, this session is being recorded, but it's only me. And my screen, so the participants aren't being recorded, so you don't need to worry about that. And health and safety, thankfully there's not too much to worry about in terms of that, other than be careful if you're using scissors, don't cut yourself. And if you are planning on stitching your zine, which is optional, you don't have to, but if you are, be careful with needles, because you can prick yourself and it can hurt. So with that, I'm going to swap the camera and I'm going to show you what you need to make your zine. So, bear with me. How smooth is that? Nice. Right. Okay. So you can already see I've kind of got stuff with me. Do you want a load of pens? Lots of paper. I have some A3 paper. That's what we'll be using today to make our zines. Pull it out. A3 paper. Scissors. Very important. For some reason I have 2 pairs, but it's better to be prepared. Some tape. I've got double-sided tape as well. I'd recommend a glue stick. I don't have a glue stick. I thought I did, but it's dried up, so we'll just be using good old double-sided tape today. Anything that you want to put in your zine. So I've collected some things. I've got post-it notes that I can cut up if I want to. I've got some cute little stickers. Some little like paper bits. You can put photos in it, newspaper clippings, magazine clippings. I've got this notebook of multicolored paper. Yeah, and I also went and scanned lots of stuff at work that I could cut up and put in my zine. So, yeah, and as I said, if you are planning on stitching your zine, you want some cotton and a needle. We'll put that somewhere safe because we don't want to accidentally stab ourselves. I also have the classic Tipex mouse because I thought that could look quite cool maybe. So literally you can use anything. I thought I'd show some examples of zines that I have to kind of kick us off. This one's probably considered more of a book, I suppose. I don't know, it's properly bound and it's a printed one. This one's by Sarah Gordon, it's called The Little Book of Lies. I'm just going to adjust the focus. It's very cute. This would be doable with the workshop that we're doing today. Obviously the only difference with this one is it's been physically printed, but they're pencil drawings. I also have a typewriter with me, so this can easily be recreated with a typewriter, or just handwriting, or stamps, literally anything. I also have these really cute ones by Jade Blood. Her stuff is amazing. I mean, this one's just... The great thing about zines is you can mass produce them quite cheap. So this one's just a black and white zine. It's been created the same way that we're going to make a zine today, so that's quite a good example. Yeah, obviously it's just illustrated drawings that she's put together, scanned them, and then folded them up and distributed them. This one's super cool. This one's slightly different in style. It has a little sleeve that holds it together, and it folds out like this. So although it's quite like simple in design, I think it works really well. It's super cute, and it's double-sided. So yeah, they're by Jade Blood. I also have a slightly bigger one, who's also, which is also made by Jade Blood, which is this one here. This is a temporary tattoo that came with it, which I think is super cool. It's a little thank you bag. But yeah, this one was held together with an elastic band, which I thought looked quite cool, but I accidentally snapped it. Oops. Yeah, like the colours and everything, I think work really well. I love that as an image. That features in the banner to advertise this event. So yeah, just to shout out again, these are created by Jade Blood, and this one by Sarah Gordon, so go and check them out. I'll post their Instagram links in the comments slightly later on. Here's one I made earlier. Yeah, I did this just on pink paper. It's got more pages because I stitched it together. Like I made 2 separate zines and I stitched them together. And it's quite simple. I just ran the paper through my typewriter and put text on it. So this is purely just a text-based zine that I made. So moving along, to begin making the base of our zine, we're going to need an A3 piece of paper and just the space that is actually a bit room. You can see what I'm doing. I might lay this coloured card out so you can see it better, because I didn't think through the fact that I'm on a white table, so you might not be able to see what I'm doing. So you take your A3 piece of paper and you want to fold it long ways like this, and then line up the corners as best as possible. But if you don't worry. For some reason, I'm really bad at folding paper. No matter how hard I try, somehow always manage to mess it up. And then smooth it out. You want to make sure you've got good creases. If you're somebody who makes zines anyway, or bookbinding, things like that, you can use a bone folder, you say they're called, or a ruler would work just as well. I didn't think that far ahead, so I haven't got them on me today. And then we're folding it again the other way. So far we've folded it twice in both directions. So that's what we have so far. We fold it to how it was a moment ago. And then we're going to fold it again in the same direction as before. And this will divide the paper up into 8 sections. Or at least it should. I'm just going over those folds. Right, and then we're going to unfold it. And it should look something like this. So as you can see, there's 8 sections. And then you want to fold it over in half again, but this way. Would that be vertical or horizontal? I'm not sure. But you can see, hopefully that makes sense. What we're going to do now is on the fold of the paper, so this bit is obviously open, and this is where the fold is. We want to make sure that we're cutting this line here. So I'm going to mark it out with pen so that it's a bit more clear. This is important because this is how, where we cut the zine is how we form it to make the pages. But even if you mess it up, it's fine. Like if you have a few sheets of A3 paper, you can just do it again. So we'll be cutting here. It's pretty straight on and pretty happy with that. I'm just going to unfold it again so you can see where that line is. So it's in the middle of the paper, not the ends in the middle. So we'll fold it up again. Folding it just makes it much easier to cut. And then we're going to cut this line just to that middle point. You can probably see where the creases are. You only want to cut to there. So I'm trying not to also see what I'm doing. There we go. As you can see, cut that, and then we're going to unfold it again. And now the piece of paper should have a mouth in the middle, like so. So the paper should be speaking at this point. So yeah, now we've made the cut, we've unfolded it completely, and we're going to start forming the zine now. So we'll fold it horizontally again. Now this bit is the part that's slightly confusing to explain, but hopefully visually it should make sense. So you hold it like this, and this slit is obviously across the top here. You can see it. If you move it, it kind of starts to form a mouth. And you want to push those pieces together almost. If you can see that. Push them together, and then it almost forms like an X shape or a plus symbol. So if you can see what my hands are doing, I'm kind of pinching it together here and just holding it like that. And as you can see, it's starting to form pages. And you just want to smooth out those bits that haven't got folds in it. They have, but they need to be like reinforced. So yeah, so it's in a plus shape. And then naturally it should begin to form and fold into a book anyway. So I don't know, I feel like I should do that again. Put your piece of paper, there's a slit in the middle, push it together, and then kind of wrap it in on itself. Hopefully that's worked. Mine's actually ended up a bit messy, but that's fine. Can you see where my folding isn't great, so we've got some like slight overhang. That could be easily trimmed off. That's no big deal. So this is the booklet. This is basically the framework of our zine. So if you flip through it now, you should have pages. So you've got your front cover, the inside cover, and some pages, and then the back cover. And then in terms of decorating it, you can either decorate it as is, so you can start page by page kind of decorating it how you wish. Or another thing you can do is fold it out again so that it's flat. If you're going to do that, I would recommend writing the numbers on the pages, because when you unfold it, it's not obvious what pages are which. So what I like to do is just go through and write numbers on them. You might want to do a bit more discreet than I have. Yeah, obviously number one's the front cover. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to write that on there. And then this is the back. You can see that. And then so what we can do then is unfold it, and you can decorate it as a larger piece of paper. Or another thing that I've seen, which is really cool, is obviously these are the pages of the zine and the front cover. What you can also do is flip it over and do like a poster on the back, so that if you're not stitching it together or you're not stapling it, and you distribute them as they are, just folded, whoever takes one could have a mini zine but also unfold it into a poster or something cool. You could hide secret messages in there or something snazzy like that. So I think I'm going to decorate mine like this. So this is the part of the workshop where it's kind of free reign. You can do what you want. The idea of this workshop, the kind of theme of it, in line with my residency, is that I wanted it to somehow explore the self and identity. You know, zines are used by artists and other creatives to self-publish art, poems, writing, musings. It really can be about anything you want. Yeah, I guess my question to you guys, if you're taking part in this, is if you were a pocket-sized zine, what would you say? What do you want to put out into the world in a tiny little zine? It can be as simple or as complicated as you want. Just found this website that kind of explains like the brief history of the zine, and it says before there was Stan Twitter, there was the fanzine created originally by sci-fi enthusiasts of the early 20th century who use the medium as a forum for dialogue, free from corporate editors or publishers. That same do-it-yourself ethos is what drew punks of the late 20th century to embrace fanzines as a complement to their music and as a means to challenge mainstream ideologies. In the 80s and 90s, zines became a centerpiece of movements like Queercore and Riot Girl. While the latter of these were critiqued for being primarily white and heteronormative, overall these movements use zines to subvert dominant and patriarchal ideologies through the sharing of lived experiences. At the core of the zine, making ethos a subversion, freedom of thought, and a DIY attitude. As is the nature of capitalism, corporations increasingly appropriated the practice as time went on. However, even today, zine making remains a cornerstone for marginalised voices, disseminating information and publishing creative work about things they love. Yeah, and then there's just lists of like what zines are used for. So like sketches, drawings, mini comics, recipes with whimsical illustrations, more abstract stuff that mixes words with images and textures, poetry, manifestos, the list goes on.
One I made earlier. So I made one earlier. This one folded up a lot better, actually. I might have trimmed it.
Yeah.
And you want to stick them together. You want them to unite. So there's no real technique to this. I just learnt this by messing around. The other day when I made this one, because obviously this one's smaller because it's made out of A4 pieces of paper, but it's 2 zines that I made, and the paper I just ran through my typewriter, hence why it doesn't all like line up and stuff. And then I stitched them together. To do that, oh gosh, I've got to try and remember what I did now. Obviously, if there's a certain, what's the word I'm looking for, order that you want your pages to look in, to read in, you need to figure that out first.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't really matter where you stitch it. Obviously, I guess I want that as my front cover. That's my front cover, I have decided. Another thing to be wary of as well, it's probably best if you can go in the middle to go in the middle. That seems like it will make it the most secure it can be.
Yeah.
So I've got the 2 zines. Let's say that's the back of the second zine and then the front of the first zine. You want to sandwich those together. And then, so we'll be stitching between this page and this page. But like I said, it doesn't really matter. All you're really doing is stitching them together. Yeah. I like quadrupled the cotton as well, so it was a lot thicker. I think you can get bookbinding needles. This is just a normal like craft embroidery needle.
Yeah.
You get in packs from like the supermarket. So this does work, but you just have to be wary of ripping the paper. So I managed to unknot the cotton. You'll be happy to learn. I've already doubled it up and now I'm doubling it again, just so it's extra thick. I've got quite the eye on this needle's quite big. Cool, right, so I've knotted it. And now I'm going to stitch them together. It's like I said, this is really kind of just like, I don't know, up to you really, how you want to do it. If you want to conceal like the knot, you can go, this is quite difficult to explain, but if you go in like the bit that's folded, but you don't have to. I thought I'd just let you know that I think that's what I did with the with this one.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this, I'm not going to do that. And then you just stitch away. So this one, I guess, could be considered more of a fan zine rather than an Ambie Drew zine, because it's just Sailor Moon at the moment. Actually quite funny how much I've managed to reference Sailor Moon throughout this residency. Right, I'm finishing this stitch now. I'm going to try and conceal it, but I don't know if I can actually, because of the way I've done it. So, just do another one together. Oh, I like this. It's just a bit trippy. I feel like I almost don't want to overcomplicate this one. I kind of just like the way it looks. The fact that it's just like a little photo. Thank you for joining today's workshop. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something new.
I most certainly did.
Please send me pictures of your zine.
I will.
Because I'd just love to see it. And if you do want me to share it, I'd like to share it on my Instagram story. But if not, that's totally fine. I'd like to just see it anyway. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it. Thanks for joining my mini zine making workshop.